nobody judges me, cause I'm not famous, no.
Alright. You can already tell what it is. Wait, let me make sure. Alright, yep. Sorry. I had to make sure that, do not disturb was on. But you can already tell what it is. This is What If Deku was Mr. Negative, Part 2. And you can, I asked you guys if you wanted him to be a hero who's a mob boss, a normal hero, a vigilante, or, a villain. And you guys said mob boss, which I'm happy about. I'm very happy about. Because now this will be way more fun. So, Deku, he's at home, we'll say. And then he thinks, he's like, man, I need to do something. Because he's just bored out of his mind. Because he's done the training for UA. He's pretty sure he'll get in. I don't know if he already did the entrance exam or not. But he hasn't even done the 10-month training yet. So, Deku, he's like, alright, for my training, I know what I'm gonna do. So, Deku gets on, unknown laptop, and, he gets on the dark web, and he finds a fighting club, right? So, Deku, he, over the 10-month period, he's been fighting in the fighting club. He got associated with a certain gang, and stuff like that, but he's been raising over the ranks, really fast. But he hasn't even killed anyone. That's the thing. He doesn't murder people. He just gets the job done without any kills. And he says, alright, listen, I'll do all the shit you ask me, but I'm not killing anyone. He just, does whatever they ask as long as it isn't, that illegal. If they're yeah, just deliver this, then he'll do it, but he just won't look at what was in it. He'll just say, hey, man, I didn't even know. So eventually, Deku rises up the ranks pretty fucking fast, even. So, Deku at one point is the second-hand man to the mob boss. Basically everybody's talking and stuff like that. And at this point, the mob boss, he's very, worried that Deku will try to take his spot. So he's acting paranoid and stuff like that. And now everybody's just everybody's tired of this guy. Cause he's been singling out Deku for no reason, because Deku's an awesome, guy. He's really nice to everybody. He's just the best guy ever. You're in a gang, but there's that one nice guy. Imagine. So, basically, everybody eventually just votes out the mob boss, because he's a dickhead to Deku for no reason. So, after that, Deku just, he didn't even, want to be leader. He just wanted to do something on his free time. He just ended up the mob boss leader. They're basically, he's alright, well, since I'm the leader, now we're gonna set up a few rules. They're alright, he's just, immediately on the spot, no selling drugs to children, none to children. Adults, they're fair game, alright? Whatever you guys do with that, I don't know. If you guys have your own disputes with other gangs, if you want to deal with that, just tell me before you do so that I can see what we can do before then. But if you have to make sure that you're okay before them, your life is more important. So, he's if you guys are in a situation where you seem like you'll be killed, then, don't risk your life for it. Get out of there. There's always we can try out later, always, alright? He's basically, making sure, because he thinks of them as family at this point, because it's been 10 months. So he's as well as, I'm going to be giving you all upgrades. And they're confused now. So basically, Deku's okay, do any of you guys have melee weapons or anything like that? They're yeah. So they give him the melee weapons. Deku just basically powers them up with his quirk. And they just look like the weapons that he has in the photo. They're weaker versions, right? But he's yeah, don't use these unless you really need to and you're in a situation where you can't get out there. And he's one more thing, innocent civilians, you do not risk their lives. If I hear about you risking their lives, you're dead. He just says that, he's not gonna kill him actually, he's gonna just turn him into the police, but they don't know that. Because he said it was he just went from normal Deku to negative mode, and he was you're dead. And they're now they're shit scared, but they're basically respect the wishes of Deku because he's the gang leader. And he's rising up the ranks fast. At this point, I don't know how mafia families work, but he's about to be able to be put into the mafia family. I don't know how that works, but At this point, like, All For One's, like, eye has been caught by Deku. Because, like, these melee weapons that they use, it cancels out people's quirks. Which, it catches All For One's eye. He tries to make deals, but Deku does not deal with the villains, nor does he deal with other gangs. Unless they're like, we want to have a truce or some shit. He doesn't do that, other than that. But Deku just lives his life, basically, normally, other than that. So then, after that, Deku goes to UA for the entrance exam, because this all was in the 10 months, and Deku's gotten much stronger. Because at this point, he can shoot out the negative, like, beams and stuff like that, which, that's just awesome. Like, he can shoot out fucking waves of negative energy. So, Deku, he gets to UA, and, he's a bit nervous, but he's a mob boss. Why the fuck would he be, that nervous? So he walks in there, he does a written test, he does pretty well. Well, actually, he does really well. And, Nezu sees that this kid applied for both the support and the hero course, which surprises him. Because he also, like, oh yeah, I should probably say, in his mob, like, agency, basically, he has amazing tech. Like, they're illegal, but, like, no one can prove they're illegal. Like, everybody knows about them, because they're, like, a support, they're also, like, a support agency at this point. And they are, like, they do criminal activities, but no one can prove it. Like, everyone knows, yeah, these guys, are criminals, but they can't prove it. That's the issue. So, unless proven so, they can't do shit. So Deku just sells, like, everyone technology and stuff like that, and, like, really fucking advanced technology. At this point, it's caught the Yayorozu's eyes, and, Deku's just catching eyes everywhere. But nobody knows that Deku's, the leader of this organization, or he wouldn't really, I don't know if they couldn't allow him into UA. They have no proof that he's a villain, which Nezu would probably say the same shit. But he's a mob boss, so why would he reveal his identity? So basically, after that, Deku, he's just chilling out, and he gets to the robot test, and President Mike's like, there's no countdown in a real battle, go, 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 and everyone's running. Deku's just shooting, like, 3-pointers with, like, negative energy beams. He doesn't really try against 1 or 2-pointers, but he tries against 3-pointers because those are good points. And, basically after that, Uraka, after that, 0-pointer shows up, Uraka gets sunk under rubble. Deku basically, he powers up, like, a large wave of negative energy, and he shoots the 0-pointer, but it doesn't blow up the 0-pointer or anything. It just knocks it back, like, a little bit. And then he grabs Uraka. He basically, he grabs her and then starts running. And Uraka's like, alright, thank you, yada, yada, yada. And then after that, Deku, even though Uraka basically only got in Class 1A off of rescue points, we're gonna say she still got in, because, yeah. So, Deku, he's like, no problem, yada, 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 stuff like that. She's like, what's your name? He's like, it's, Azuka Midoriya, and, he walks off. I'm gonna do a little bit more, because I really want to get into certain stuff. So Deku, he gets into, Class 1A after, like, a week, because he got accepted. First place, baby. He walks into class, he sits down, and immediately, like, he's looking around, he sees a few people with mutation quirks, and, he basically, he's like, maybe I should help them out. And then he sees, like, this one, like, this clothes just walk into the room, and he's like, oh. And then he just gets up, and he walks over to this person with clothes. He's pretty sure it's a girl. He's like, hello there. And she's like, oh, hi. And Deku's like, can you turn off your quirk, or is it a mutation type? She's like, he can't see her, but basically she looks down and she's like, well, it's a mutation type, I can't really turn it off. And Deku's like, do you have, like, a bracelet or anything on you? Like, anything that you can just put on your hand that won't really bother you? And Deku, and she's like, yeah. And she pulls out, like, a bracelet that she wears sometimes, and Deku powers it up with negative energy, and the colors just invert, basically. So he's like, put this on. She puts it on, and, like, he's like, within, like, an hour, your quirk should be able to turn off and on. Because, she's like, wait, what? He's like, yeah, my quirk is able to kind of cancel out, mutations, but it takes a little bit. And, you know, she's like, really? You know, like, she's like, no way, you're pulling my leg here. And, you know, she looks at her hand, you know, it's starting to, like, slightly have, like, this, like, outline-ish. Like, you know how the Predator's invisibility is, where, like, if you look close enough, you can see the Predator? Basically, she sees her hands like this, and she's like, you know, she's about to break down into tears, because she's been invisible her whole fucking life. Wouldn't you break down into tears? And, you know, she basically tackles him. She's like, oh my god, you know, she's crying. She's like, it's literally like the first second we meet and you've already been this nice, yada yada yada. Deku's like, it's not even that much of an issue. And, you know, Mina walks up. She's like, yo, what's going on here? And then, you know, she basically shows off the bracelet, and she's like, this guy over here, he has, like, a quirk that can basically turn off mutations. You know, Mina looks, she's like, wait, really? You know, you can turn off mutations? He's like, yeah, but you'll have to wear a bracelet for, like, an hour, and then you can start to turn it off and on. You know, Mina's like, could you, you know, make me one? Because she just wants to see what she looks like without, you know, pink skin and blackened eyes and horns. And Deku's like, I mean, sure. And, you know, Tokiyami also hears this. He walks up too. He's like, could I also get one? You know, because his is a mutation as well. So he's like, yeah, sure. Does anyone else really want one? And, you know, a few people walk up, like Duplo Arms. He walks up. Because if you don't know in canon, the reason why Duplo Arms is a hero, and the reason why he wears a mask, is because he used to live in this town where they basically were, like, racist against mutant type quirks. And what's it called? This one girl called his mouth scary, and, you know, he basically covered himself up with a mask. That's the reason why he wears a mask. It's really sad, honestly, because, like, it's not like he was chose to be born as a mutant. So Deku's just like, yeah, sure, I guess, you know. He just basically, he's like, does anyone have, like, bracelets? Because, you know, basically, Tokiyami didn't have one. And, you know, Momo just walks up, she creates one, she's like, here. Deku's like, thanks. You know, he basically puts negative energy into him. He gives them to him, you know. They start sitting down, and, you know, Deku, he's sitting down, like, you know, Toru, she sits next to him. She's like, so, what's your name? He's like, oh, I'm Izuku Midoriya. She's like, so, you became a hero for what reason, you know? Deku's like, well, to be honest, I just wanted to save people, yada, yada, yada. He's like, I'm actually also in the support course, too. You know, she's surprised by this. She's like, you're tech savvy? And he's like, yeah, I'm pretty good with technology. Nothing crazy, though. So she's like, okay, you know, that's pretty cool. You know, Aizawa walks in, he's like, if you want to, you know, make friends, leave, yada, yada, yada. And he's like, put these on, we're going to go do a quirk assessment. So they all walk outside, you know. Basically, he throws the ball to Deku, Deku catches it. He's like, what was your father's throw in, you know, middle school? Or, yeah, in junior high. And he's like, not in junior high, because UA is a college, I forgot. In high school. Deku's like, 87 meters without your quirk? And he's like, yeah. So he's like, yeah, use your quirk. And, you know, Deku just makes his arm negative because he doesn't really feel like showing everybody his full negative. So he makes, like, his arm have negative energy pulsating off of it, and he chucks the ball. The ball goes, we'll say, I'm not trying to make him crazy OP, but I am trying to make him strong. So he's going to have 900 meters under his belt, which, you know, everybody's excited to use their quirks. You know, at this point, you know, Toru, she's basically, like, mostly visible, but not really. Mina, she's also mostly, mostly, like, hers is easier because she didn't have to go, you know, completely, because all it did was change her skin out. But Toru actually, like, her whole body, like, her insides and stuff like that, had to become visible, but her skin went visible before then, so it's not weird. Don't worry, it's not, we don't have guts floating around. Oh my, God, imagine just, like, seeing this muscle, just this, like, human with, like, muscle just walk around, no skin, no nothing, you know, just walking around like, hey, you know. I can't with that. And, you know, basically, you know, Toru is for the most part invisible, and if you want to imagine her how you want to imagine her, because I was originally going to go look for, like, a visible picture of Invisible Girl, and then I realized, like, hey, it's your imagination. And then, but I did get, you know, non-mutant versions of Mina and Tokiyami. So, you know, Mina basically, she's like, I can't wait to do this, and she looks like this, you know. Mina's an ebony mama. I'm surprised too, but I can't. But Tokiyami's like, yeah, it'll be fun to use our quirks. You know, everybody looks at Tokiyami. Tokiyami looks like this. You know, Mina's like, damn. Like, Tokiyami's like, what is, or not Mina, no. Ashido, Sue. Not Ashido. Her name isn't Ashido. It's I don't even know what Sue's last name is. Fuck, I thought it was Ashido, like, but I know it's Mina Ashido. Fuck, I'm just gonna call her Sue. Sue's like, damn. And then, you know, Tokiyami looks at her, he's like, what? She's like, you're hot. Like, he's like, what? He's confused now because he's never been called hot because he had a fucking bird head. But she's like, yeah, you look good, you know, because she's blunt. And, you know, that's a relationship that I'm going to be starting up. Because why the hell not? The bird and the frog. Best relationship ever. He, you know, just to make Tokiyami's life a little bit easier, he can still use Dark Shadow. If you want him to still be, you know, Bird Boy, then I can make it to where he doesn't use Dark Shadow. But, hey, depending on what you want, bro. So, you know, as I was like, oh, you think this is just gonna be, you know, fun and games? Alright. Last place, you know, gets expelled. And, you know, did All Might give his quirk to anyone in Class 1A? I don't have anyone who would really, you know, need it other than, like, Kirishima. I only make someone in Class 1A have one for all just to even them out with Deku. But no one really needs to have it because Deku's not insanely strong. He's able to be caught up to if he stops training. Like, if Todoroki trains on both his ice and fire and, you know, doesn't stop, then he could probably maybe catch up to Deku if Deku doesn't train for, like, a month and Todoroki trains for, like, 2 months. Like, if Todoroki went into the fucking hyperbolic time chamber, is what I'm trying to say. But, other than that, Deku's still the strongest in Class 1A. I'm not even gonna front with you. So after that, you know, Deku basically, he's just chilling out, because what the hell else is he gonna do? They do the meter dash. Deku gets, like, I'm not gonna make him faster than Ida, but I'm gonna make him pretty fast. Ida got, like, 3 seconds. So Deku gets, like, 4. Sorry, it's late for me. And, you know, Deku's just like, alright. You know, he does the sit-ups, he does the push-ups, you know. He crushes the hand thing. And basically that all happens. Deku just did really all around well. So in this one, even though I made Yajirosa go first place in Hellflame, I'm just gonna make him be first in this one because why the hell not? So, you know, Deku's like, well, I'm gonna go ahead to the support course because I got a lesson to catch up to. So he heads over to the support course. He's like, yo, and, you know, Power Loader, he's there like, oh, you must be the kid who's also in the hero course. You know, a few people are like, wait, he's in the hero and support course? He's like, yeah, I know a bit of stuff about a bit of stuff. So, you know, Mei Hatsume runs up. She's like, can I help you make your hero outfit? He's like, he's like, well, I mean, oh wait, why am I still on Tokiyami? And Tokiyami over there just showing his handsome face, but basically she's like, so, you want me to help you with your hero suit at all? And Deku's like, I mean, I basically just wear a suit. If you could make it, if, you know, you could help me make it more elastic and stuff like that, and maybe give me, like, a few weapons I could use, that would help. You know, she's like, alright, explain your quirk. And he's like, well, he just explains that, you know, it's negative energy. And he's like, what do you mean by that? And, you know, he doesn't want to hide his transformation because he doesn't have a reason to. So he just fully transforms into Negative Man, you know. He's like, yeah, it just gives me negative energy and basically inverts me. So she's like, what if we make your suit white? And, you know, he's like, well, my skin becomes, you know, darker, well, black. He's just, yeah, my skin becomes, like, you know, black, though. So then I just be black on black, which isn't really a good matchup of colors. So she's like, yeah, alright, so a black suit with a white inside, a black tie, you know, just basically describing this suit. But they make it, like, easy to move in. He's also like, I can also enhance weapons and technology and stuff with my quirk. And she's like, what do you mean? He's like, do you got anything in here? So she basically gives him a jetpack. And Deku, he takes the jetpack, he's like, alright, and he covers it in negative energy, the colors invert, and it becomes like way better. Like, it works double time faster, it has way more durability, it doesn't break, which it used to break. And basically she's like, whoa, that's awesome, yada yada yada. And now another girl basically walks up to Deku, she's like, oh, so you must be Izuku Midoriya that I heard about, because he did get first place in the entrance exam. And he's like, and you are? And she's like, oh, my name's Melissa. Melissa, what's her fucking name again? Armstrong or some shit? No, it's not Armstrong. Melissa Shield. Melissa Shield. I was thinking of Armstrong. How the fuck did I get Armstrong? I don't know. They just, like, have names that sound, like, powerful. Which is she. Like, Melissa Shield is a badass name. I ain't even gonna lie. So, basically, he's like, oh, I've heard of your dad before. He has pretty awesome support items. Yada yada. She's like, yeah, I decided to join the support course because I thought it would be pretty fun. Basically that happens. That whole interaction happens. Which, I already know how I'm gonna do this. It's gonna be fun. So, also, he becomes friends with Alright, so his friend group right now is Melissa, what's her name? May. He also has Sue in his friend group, Tokiyami and Mina and Toru, of course. Kirishima's there because, Mina's there, as well as also Deku's pretty fucking manly. And then, who else would be there? With Jiro, Kaminari, and Sero are also there. Momo's there because Jiro's there. Deku has a pretty fucking big friend group, not gonna lie. He's pretty popular. So, basically, just Deku mostly, and Uraka and Ida are still there because they're still Deku's pals. So Deku has a pretty large group of friends who he hangs out with. So basically, he's like, yeah, I have a few friends in Class 1A. They'd probably like you too. And Mina's like, alright, but she's like, also one more thing. And Deku's like, yeah. And she's like, can you help me with my babies? And Deku's like, he looks at her, he's like, don't get me wrong, you're pretty hot, but I don't know you that well. And then she's like, no, my technology. And Deku's like, Deku, like, she's like, no. She's red at this point, but Deku's pretty fucking handsome. So she's like, no, I'm talking about my tech. And Deku's like, oh yeah, sure. So basically they're working on tech and stuff like that. And Deku basically, he makes like this blade that he like from a capsule. So he pulls out a capsule and he makes it into a blade, and it becomes negative energy, and it's a way better absorbent than all his other swords that he's ever made. So, well, that's what it'll say. Like, this sword, like, if he stabs it into the ground, he'll create, like, a shockwave, basically. Like, that's how good this one is compared to his other ones. Like, his other ones, yeah, he could make, like, pretty good damage. But this one, like, he can cause wind pressure with his fucking slashes. So these are, like, basically to focus his negative energy. Which, I'm gonna give him an extra ability, because why the fuck not? So basically, if he wants, he can feel negative emotions, and he can also cause people to feel negative emotions, which is a hella villainous power, but I thought it would be fun. So basically, Melissa's also also helping Deku. Basically that's happening. Which I have a plan for what I'm about to do, so don't worry. But you probably won't hear about it until, like, episode 3. So, I'm gonna do the hero versus villains. Not All Might. Aizawa basically walks into the support department. He's like, yo, the hero course has, like, a little test about to go on, so you should probably run off. Deku was like, alright. He's like, well, I'll be seeing you later, Power Loader, sensei, And then, Power Loader's like, it's cool, man. You didn't just call me Power Loader. And Deku's like, alright, I'll be seeing you later, Power Loader. Later, Melissa, later, May. Because he doesn't really talk to anyone else in the support course. Because, they're all side characters. They're all extras in Bakugo's words. So, Deku, basically, he heads towards, I think it was, like, testing area B or some shit. Where it was a city. So, I rewatched the first season of My Hero just to refresh myself, and there was a lot of shit that I forgot. Like, that was crazy. So Deku, he walks in there, he's wearing his, like, hero outfit. It's basically just a black suit. You know, everybody's like, is that just your hero outfit? He's like, nah. Let me show you. You know, he basically goes full Mr. Negative, and they're all like, whoa, your quirk is a transformation type? He's like, yeah. You know, I guess you could say that. Which he doesn't really plan on telling any of them, really, that his quirk isn't a quirk. It's more of a power that he got. But, you know, they don't need to know that because that's classified information. Because, like, imagine the hysteria that quirkless people would cause if they heard that they could gain powers. And especially people with quirks, that they could gain extra powers. Like, villains would be all over that, heroes would be all over that. It would just cause mass hysteria. Like, that's the same reason All Might doesn't tell anyone about his quirks, so why not? Then Deku just like, yeah, it's a transformation type. I have a few abilities. And, you know, Toro is basically there. She's like, well, my hero costume won't really work now. Because, you know, she basically chooses to go invisible. Because, you know, Deku can either, like, make it to where the bracelets that he gives people erases or lets them turn off and on their quirk. I'm just doing that to save them, like, the time of taking it off and putting it back on. So, you know, she basically turns on invisibility and then puts on her hero costume. Deku, since he's in Mr. Negative mode, he sees her, like, you know, because if he's not in Mr. Negative mode, he can't see her. But since he's in Mr. Negative mode, he sees her, and, you know, basically a blue liquid secretes from his nose, because when he's Mr. Negative, everything's inverted. So she's like, are you bleeding? Because that's blue. He's like, huh, I didn't know I could bleed when I'm like this. And she's like, why do you have a nosebleed? He's like, well, since I'm negative right now, since my eyes are also negative, I'm getting a really nice view. You know, he just states it. He just throws it out there. He's like, I'm having a very nice view right now. You know, she's like, she's like, what? You know, she hits him. Deku's in Mr. Negative mode, so it doesn't really hurt too much. I don't know how good Mr. Negative's healing abilities are. I know that he cured Eddie Brock's cancer, which was some big shit. Which, you know, he can cure cancer. He just doesn't know it yet. Which, I might do something with that. Who knows? Maybe I'll give, like, All Might cancer and he heals All Might. Fuck it. Like that maybe, but for later, though. So, Deku, he's chilling out. He's pretty, like, you know, he doesn't have anything really to do. They're like, alright, Team A will be Izuku Midoriya and Toru, what's it called? What's their name again? Hagakure. That's their name. And then, like, and on the opposite team, Katsuki Bakugo and... Who do I want it to be? Do I want it to be Ida? It'll still have to be someone in Deku's friend group. So, we'll say... No one ever does Kaminari. Fuck it, Kaminari. So he's like, don't worry, dude, we totally got this. Yada, yada, yada. Stuff like that. So basically, Deku, he's like, alright, what do you want the plan to be? And, you know, Toro, he unnegatived up his eyes so that she would stop being angry with him, because he could see her angry face. But, you know, he already got a real nice view. You know, Deku, you know, she's like, actually, no, fuck it, he didn't turn off his eyes, he's still getting a very nice view, you know? So she's like, she just forgot about it, basically, because why would she, when she's invisible, think that anyone can see her? So Deku, basically, he's like, alright, so what's the plan? And, she's like, well, she's like, oh, I could take off my gloves and shoes and I could sneak in. And Deku's like, alright, but let's do that a little bit later. Let's walk in first and, you know, assess the area. So, you know, basically, Deku, like, he says Hero Team starts. Kaminari still is told that the same shit that Ito was told. I'm not coming up with an idea with you, blah, 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 and he leaves. Kaminari, you know, basically feels like he's gonna unfriend Bakugo after that. So, Deku, he's listening in, because all his senses are enhanced when he's negative. So he listens, and he hears Bakugo coming, so he's like, do I want to fight him, or do I want to just avoid it? So, you know, he grabs, you know, Toru, and then tries to hit a corner, but there's only, like, this one, like, tight little area to get packed in, so he just pushes it. He basically like pushes both of them in there. He basically runs up, and Bakugo's like running past, but like his explosion closes the door, which Deku was really not wishing that he didn't do that, because now he's pressed up against her. You'll see what I'm doing. So he's pressed up against her, and he's looking away at this point, but he feels stuff. So his soldier is standing at attention, we'll say. So Degu's like, I can explain. She's like, what's that? And he's like, well, would you believe me if I said it was my phone? And she's like, phones aren't that long, She's like, yeah, damn it, I should have said an iPad. He basically gets out now because Bakugo's ran past for a little bit. So he's like, yeah, sorry, I can still kind of see you, And then she realizes that, like, in his situation, there was nothing he could really do since, he's a not teenage, he's a college boy. Alright, not boy, but man, I guess you could say. Would you consider someone in college a man or a boy? Depends on how old you are. So she basically realized, he was a male who is pressed up in a room against a naked woman in his eyes. So she doesn't really blame him, but she's still pissed that that she can be seen by him. Deku's like, well, I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it's not a bad view. Like, come on, just don't be angry with me about it. I didn't choose to see you, and to be honest, like, I'm not complaining. So now she just hits him on the side again, because at this point he's being very playful with her, because he doesn't see a reason why not to. They're friends, because they've known each other for a few weeks now. So that's how I am. Like, I completely get comfortable with someone within a week. I'm too trusting. I'm gonna get betrayed one day. Like you guys, one day you're gonna just start slagging my shit. But no. So, basically, Deku gets up to the 5th floor with Toru. Bakugo's been looking for hours. Like, not hours, but he's looking for a while. She's like, alright, well, I'm gonna sneak in. But Deku's like, let me cause a distraction, right? So he's like, alright, get back a little bit. She gets back. He blows the doors open. He's like, Kaminari. He walks in there like, he's trying to play like this part where he's like, Kaminari, I've read up on you. I know about your quirk. Even though he does not know about his quirk and he has not read up on him. He's like, I know about your quirk. I know what you're capable of. And I know that I can beat you. Basically Toru is walking past and he's like, bro, what, like, he's like, what are you talking about, man? He's like, I've studied up on everyone in our class's quirks. Like, I know that Tokiyami has a shadow, basically, that attacks people, and he doesn't get hurt when people hurt it. Basically, he only knows, everyone in his main friend group, which Kaminari is in his friend group, but, he hasn't talked to Kaminari too much. Like, Jiro and Kaminari are gonna be added more, but after after this. So, basically, Kaminari's confused now. He's like, alright, man, whatever, but, like, I'm sure that I could beat you, yada, 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 stuff like that. And, Deku is, like, looking, and he sees that, she's touching the bomb, but All Might can't tell. He's like, and then he's like, wait, before we do this, Kaminari. Kaminari waits, because he's an idiot. And then he's like, All Might, Toru's touching the bomb. And then, basically, All Might's like, wait, really? And, Deku's like, yeah. And then he just walks up to the bomb, basically. He flicks Toru, and she's like, hey, fucking, like, that hurt. Deku's like, no, it didn't. He's like, yeah, well, you're stronger than you look. He's like, is that a compliment? She's like, no. And then she's pissed because Deku's just been messing with her nonstop. So he's like, oh, well, Hero Team wins. They basically walk out. What's it called? Freaking Bakugo's pissed out of his mind. Kaminari, he's not too mad because, it was a smart idea in his eyes. He didn't really have any issue with it. Kaminari's like, bro, that was genius. And Jiro's like, no, you're just an idiot. Because we'll say that, because I know that the heroes versus villains is what basically set them up to be friends. So we'll say that they just knew each other a little bit before the sports festival. Not sports festival, fuck. the entrance exam. So that's how I'm still gonna make them be friends. But I'll try to, cause I've noticed that some what ifs, when I talk about just the entrance exam, it's hella short. So I'm just trying to make small talk that'll make it be longer. I'm trying to build story, build the environment. So Deku, he's like, alright, well, I would normally stick around, but I got support course shit to do, so I'll be seeing you guys. So he basically heads off to the support course. He's talking with May and stuff like that. He's like, yeah, I got to help out a few friends with their mutation type quirks, yada yada yada. She's like, what do you mean by that? He's like, oh, my quirk can kind of cancel out mutation quirks, or quirks in general. But it's just rarer because it cancels out mutations. Because I'm pretty sure mutation quirks aren't born as mutations. They're originally born looking, human. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. Because if not, then I refuse to believe that Tokiyami wasn't an egg, if that isn't the case. Because if Tokiyami was born with his mutation, then he better have fucking been an egg. But, then again, Tokiyami has teeth, which is horrifying. But, yeah. So Deku basically, he spends time in support course, and Aizawa walks into the support room. He's like, yo, kid, I don't really have to pull you out because class is about to end. But he's like, next week we'll be doing the USJ. And Deku was like, alright, that'll be cool. And Deku basically, he's about to walk home, and he gets stopped by Melissa and May, and basically all his friends from class 1A, like Toru, Mina, and Tokiyami. He's glad that he has at least a male friend in his friend group right now, but it'll expand. So yeah, he's like, yo, what's up? And they're like, yeah, let's walk with you. Toru's like, I'm still mad at you. He's like, what? It's not even my fault, to be honest. It's your fault. You should have thought about me. And she's like, what do you mean? She's like, well, you're the one who, just likes walking around naked. And then, basically, because she's visible right now. So Melissa and, May look at her like, wait, what? And then she's like, no, let me explain. And, she explains what happened with her quirk and stuff like that. And, May and Melissa, they basically laugh because that was a pretty funny shit. But they are pretty jealous, because, remember, Deku, the stud. And this is what I'm doing. It's gonna be a rivalry for a little while. Then we'll see what we do from there. So basically, Deku, he's like, yeah, that it's not my fault, alright? You just are what do you call a person who walking around nude? A nudist? He's like, you're a nudist. That's not my fault. She's annoyed now. She's like, I'm not a freaking nudist. Yada yada yada. He's like, well, now you have an idea. Now I have an idea for you. And she's like, what do you mean? It's like, cut the extra hairs that the bed head that you have. And what's it called? After you do that, you should be able to make yourself a costume out of your hair that'll let you cover yourself up even when you're invisible, so that you can go visible. So she's like, oh, well, you're right. She's like, that's kind of smart. Degu's like, kinda. I'm in both hero and support course. I'm pretty freaking smart. So that happens. And then he basically walks up to Hagakure before she leaves. He's like, by the way, do your parents have the same quirk? Because I don't know if they have the same quirk or not. We'll say that they do. She's like, oh yeah, I was going to ask you to do that for my parents. And basically he's like, alright, do you want me to go over to your place, or do you want me to give you something? She basically says, which one will be easier for you? He's like, I don't have anywhere to be, which, he doesn't. So basically, he heads off with Hagakure, which Melissa and May are both pretty jealous. So, yeah, that's what I'm doing in this. Don't be angry. Eventually, for all you people who like a three-way ship, because I couldn't decide, man. Some of you guys were like May, some of you guys were like Hagakure, some of you guys were like Melissa, and then some of you guys were just all three, which I couldn't refuse. Not really. If you guys all say the same thing, and, basically the same amount of times, I can't really refuse you guys unless I've already built a ship and don't really want to do it, which I had no problem with it this time, but yeah, that's how it's gonna work. So after that, he gets to, Hakure's place. Hagakure is visible, which, they're like, who are you? And she's like, Mom, Dad, it's me, yada, yada, yada. You know, they're like, what? They're surprised because, she's visible, for fuck's sake. They're like, what happened? Yada, yada, yada. They think, like, her quirk got, erased or something. She explains that, her friend over here, and Deku's like, yo. And she explains how he can make, like, stuff that can turn off mutation type quirks. And, they're like, okay, but why is he here? And they're like, and she's like, for you guys. And they basically are like, what? He's like, of course I'm gonna help you two out. Like, why would I just leave you out? What am I, an awful child? Like, basically they're crying because they were adults. They've lived actually, are both of their quirks invisibility? I can't say both of their quirks are invisibility because that'd be weird. Just her dad. Yeah, we'll just say just her dad. So May's mom, like, May looks like her mom, but not as much. So May's mom is just like, oh, hey, who are you? And, May explains that it's her, or not May, fuck, Hagakure, fucking Kure. So Hagakure's dad is the one who's invisible, for fuck's sake. So Hagakure explains, basically, like, this guy, he's able to make something that can turn off mutation quirks, and she realizes what Hagakure is saying. So, she's like, so you think that he could help your father? Like, and she's like, yeah, I really do believe that, he could help him. And, basically Hakure's father, like, heard this as he was walking by. He's like, wait, this guy has something that can turn off mutations? And he looks at Hagakure, he's like, I can see what you look, he's happy to see what she looks like. And she's like, don't, get too excited because now we have to see what you look like. And, he's like, wait, what? Basically, he's like, give me something of yours that, you'll always wear. So he's like, will it break or anything like that? He's like, no, the colors will just change a little bit. So he asks his wife, like, do you want me to use a wedding ring? Because that's, like, the only thing that I wear all the time. And she's like, yeah, sure, it's okay. He basically, he's like, he gives him his hand. Deku makes a wedding ring, like, go from silver look to, what's the inverse of silver? It's like a blackish look, which is pretty cool. And, basically, Deku has been doing it a lot more, so this one he's like, yeah, now that I've done it, like, 4 times already, I'm pretty sure it should only take, like, 30 minutes, because I really don't feel like making it take forever. So, Hagakure, she's like, wait, go in your room and, hide, because it will be a slow process, and, you'll basically, I don't know if you'll grow, like, become visible from your skin first, or if you'll go from the inside first. Because for her, she got, like, skin first. But Deku did say it was a half and half situation. So, he runs inside and he just waits for 30 minutes. And then he looks in the mirror. He screams. Basically, Deku's like, he must have seen himself. So he walks out. They see, like, this handsome stud walk out. And, at this point, Hakure's mom is, like, blushing deeply. Because that's her fucking husband. Because she married him out of his personality because he's kind-hearted. But, because I want, Hagakure to be extra infatuated with Deku. Her dad is very handsome. So, basically Hakure's mom is just like, oh my god, blah, 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 you're handsome, yada, yada, yada. He's extremely happy that he's visible. So he hugs Deku. He's like, thank you, man, yada, 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 this and that. Then he looks at Deku seriously. He's like, so you came here to meet us just to give me the ability to be seen. Nothing else, right? Deku's like, yeah, nothing else. He's like, so you're not, dating my daughter or anything like that. Deku's like, not yet, or anything, not really, not yet. He catches the not yet part, and he's like, wait, hold up. Alright, I'm grateful to you, but I don't know you yet, basically. He's like, well, I mean, yeah, you're right, I guess. He's like, I'll be heading out now. Like, he's about to dip. He's like, wait, hold up. So he's like, should I know about any other abilities that you have to be able to see, or to be able to make, mutation quirks basically go away? He's like, well, he explains, what his quirk is, and, how he can see through mutations, so like he can see through invisibility and stuff like that. And he's like, he remembers Hagakure's hero outfit. So he's like, you didn't happen to see her in her hero outfit, did you? Deku just like, he's like, he looks at him dead in the eyes, like, with a straight face. He picks up his wrist. He looks at, like, his wrist. He doesn't have a watch or anything. He looks at his wrist. He's like, I think it's about time for me to leave. And he runs out. He's like, you fucking you just hear, you fucking bastard, running after him. Because he is grateful to Deku, but no matter how much someone gives you something, you'd be pissed too if you heard that, he saw your daughter naked and they're not dating or anything. So he chases Deku, but Deku goes negative man mode and dips. Which, Hagakure, she's laughing a little bit, but, she's still embarrassed because that happened. And Hagakure's mom's like, so you like him, right? Hakure's, no, he's annoying. And then she goes to her room, because teenage stuff, or college stuff, college stuff. So Deku gets home, he tells Inko about, his day. Inko laughs because she can already tell that he has a harem, but he doesn't know about it yet. For fuck's sake, I didn't think I'd be doing this anytime soon. But, yeah, he checks on his mom, everything's going well, the Yakuza want to talk, but he doesn't really feel like it. So he's like, he basically doesn't really want to talk to the Yakuza. So, yeah, I'll be ending it off here. If you guys, want a part 3, please do tell me. If not, then sorry, I'm still going to make a part 3 because I enjoy making this series. But, yeah, hope you guys have enjoyed, and peace out.